when Shaitan says to Adam alayhi salam, Ya Adam, O Adam, هل أدلك على شجرة الخلد وملك لا يبلى? Should I not tell you of the shajaratul khuld? Should I not tell you of the tree of eternity, the tree which is going to lead you to becoming a permanent dweller within Jannah? Should I not tell you of this one tree that if you have from its fruits, then what will happen is you will become a permanent resident or a permanent dweller of Jannah. وَمُلْكٍ لَا يَبْلَى. And also what it's going to lead to is it's going to grant you a kingdom, a dominion which is not going to come to an end. بَلِيَ الثَّوْبُ يَبْلَى. A thawb, a cloth, ended up becoming bali. What that means is it started to grow old. You know how sometimes a cloth becomes just so worn and torn that now even if you don't actually tear it, it starts to look like it's torn up, right? So that's what baliya yabla means. Now, sometimes that happens also to kingdoms as well. Actually, all of the time that happens to kingdoms of people, right? There's no dominion except the dominion of Allah Azza wa Jal which outlives the test of time. There's not a king who will not, for 100 years from today, there's not a king who will still remain a king. There's not a kingdom that will have some sort of major adjustments within the next 2 or 3 centuries, right? So every single mulk, every single dominion has some sort of changes that it goes through, except the dominion of Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? Because He's the Malik al-Mulk. He's the owner of all dominion, right? So he said to him, should I not tell you of a shajarat al-khuld? Should I not tell you of something that's going to make you live forever and it's going to also give you a dominion that's forever as well? And those are 2 things that people want within this life as well. If you have dominion and if you have power, the one thing that everybody wants is so that they don't lose that power. Somehow they do something that will lead them to continue to be in power, continue to be in fame perhaps, continue to be on top perhaps, right? And that they don't lose that power. But in reality, that power is going to come to an end. Even if you're a musician, you happen to be a singer, you're in the top 10, right? You're one of the top 10 artists of the day. And just a few days later or a few months later, you're not going to be considered from the top 10. You happen to have the best-selling book, you're a great author. Just a few months from today, you're not going to be the best seller any longer. You happen to be a very great motivational speaker. You're not going to be for very long because Allah didn't allow for mulk to be forever. Allah didn't allow for dominion to be forever. You happen to be a king. You happen to be a president. There's going to be an end to your term. You happen to be a king, a sultan. You're going to cease to exist even if you have your mulk forever until you die. You will cease to exist. And perhaps someone will overthrow whatever you had developed and now no longer does your dominion remain, just as you don't remain as well. So everything comes to an end. Everything has a moment that is decreed by Allah Azza wa Jal after which it ceases to exist.